Woman Who Chat is sponsored by Grow Radio. Grow Radio is an online radio station dedicated to bringing you a different podcast on the hour, every hour. I'm proud that Woman Who Chat is played on Grow Radio every Tuesday at 3 p.m. and Friday at 8 a.m. and to be a part of their podcasting community. If you want to listen to the station, explore their shows, check out many of the blogs to improve your podcasting skills, or get your podcast onto Grow Radio, head over to growradio.uk today.
Welcome to Woman Who Chat, and today I'm chatting to Nichola Threadgold. Hello, Nichola.
Good morning.
Now, you are Nichola Threadgold of Jason Threadgold, funeral director. Who's Jason?
Oh, he's my husband. Yeah, we've been married for 10 years and we set up 10 years ago in business as well. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And we'll come on to working with family in a bit. You've got a really unusual role, i.e. you run 5 funeral homes. That is a really unusual thing for a woman to be involved in. How did you come to get into funerals?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, firstly, I am really proud that obviously there are more women getting into the industry now. So that is amazing. But yeah, how did I end up in funeral homes? It was something I never anticipated in a million years. And when I'd had my children, when they were small, I was a stay-at-home mum. Prior to that, I'd been in retail and recruitment. And when they sort of got to the age where they started going to school, it was, what am I going to do with my time? So I started looking, as you do in that age, it was like looking in the local newspaper for jobs. And this job came up at the local crematorium, and I just thought, my goodness, that would be so different and amazing. Obviously, the roles I'd had before were very much working with people, and I just thought, oh my goodness, if I could help make a difference, that would be great. So I applied for this job, and it was part-time, so it sort of helped with the children going to school and picking them up. And I got the job, and to be honest, I never really worked the hours I was set. I was always there early, I was always there a little bit later, because it just really, the job itself, it was so rewarding. I absolutely loved it, helping people at such a vulnerable time. And yeah, so I started working there, and that's where I met Jason. My first marriage failed, and we became friends. And yeah, he was a funeral director sort of working for a local company. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. So you decided to set up together.
Yeah.
You opened your first funeral home, and you've grown that, and now you've got 5. And I know you're expanding, and I know you're growing and that.
Yeah.
So going from just the 2 of you working in the business and starting up, how did you sort of decide, right, we're going to open another one, and we're going to open another one, and we're going to open another one? What's the sort of the drive behind maybe you or both of you to do that?
Okay, so we opened our first one in Scunthorpe, and it's quite a large building, and within 2 years we'd expanded that building due to the fact that the community were using us. So, the business really took off for us. And we felt that what we offered was so different to a lot of other funeral directors in the local area. We are a husband and wife team, we're extremely caring, and we do go that extra mile to help people at such a vulnerable time. And because that model worked, we thought, well, actually, let's look at some other areas, sort of more local too, that maybe need our services. So we opened funeral home number 2 in Barton upon Humber. And again, we realised that, people were coming to us. So I think it was that drive that actually our model was working. At this point, we're having to recruit more people. And we're so very careful with our recruitment process for the type of people that we're looking for. And so it just sort of spiraled from there. We then started to look at other areas, again, where the demographic was that actually, this is an area that we could be in, where we can help that community. And yeah, so that's how it's worked, really. And we look at those communities as well, because we do a lot of work, sponsorship, charity work. So we look at those areas as well, where we can look at helping in that area, to help people.
Yeah, and I mean, funeral services, you think of it, wouldn't want to work in that. A lot of people find it quite morbid, and it's really interesting that you're doing it for the community. But it's the uncertainty in life, isn't it? Everybody's going to need a funeral director.
Yeah, absolutely. But you also have to flip that, Sandra, because everybody needs a funeral director, but they don't necessarily maybe want to use us. Or so, and there is competition out there. So you can never be complacent. You've always got to be on the top of your game, because at the end of the day, you can't say, oh, I'm sorry, we made a mistake today, let's do it again tomorrow. It's one shot. So, we do have to be on the top of our game. We always have to be making sure that everything is tip top, ready for that person's funeral, and that the family are happy with everything that we're doing.
Yeah. Well, what's the most unusual request you've had? Because people are like, funerals are a big thing now. I mean, in our family, they're a celebration of life.
Yeah.
So what's the most unusual request you've had without
My
giving any
goodness.
confidentiality?
We do like this, obviously, a lot of the traditional style funerals. We do a lot of motorbike hearse funerals, camper van funerals. The most, I guess, the hardest one, and we couldn't actually fulfill it, was somebody wanted a round coffin. And we tried always to find one, because this person, I don't want to obviously go into too much detail, but there was a reason why it needed to be round. But sadly, it was not something we could fulfill. But I guess in obscurity, that is definitely one we often talk about.
Yeah.
And we don't like to say no, but on that occasion, it was a bit tricky.
Yeah. And I did see locally, there was, to me, I live in the Midlands, and there was a horse and carriage, and you don't see
Yeah.
that very often these days, do you?
Yeah, we do. We do quite a few horse and carriage. We did one that really stands out for me, was we did a family requested horse and carriage, but they wanted a certain type of horse. And, it's just different things that people request. It's just absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
But
And I can see by the smile on your face, if you're listening to this, Nicola's got a big smile on her face. You can obviously really see she takes pride in what she does and what she delivers. Now, obviously, as the business has grown, you've stepped back into more of a managerial role and overseeing things. Let's talk about, because with any growth, you've got to have your head around the financials of a business. When you want to expand, it's not just, oh, well, we're making a profit, we'll grow a bit there, or we'll get another, because obviously you're managing premises as well, extra staffing costs. The overheads aren't going to be any cheaper because you've got more, more premises. In fact, they're going to rapidly escalate. How important is it to you and in your business to have a key handle on the financials?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial, having your forecast there so that you know where you're going. Obviously, having cash in the bank is crucial. Planning, we do a lot of planning, 90-day planning, yearly planning, weekly, monthly, so that you know that in future weeks and months, you've got that money to do what you want to do.
Yeah. And, I see in my awards, you get business owners, they come to you, they're asked a financial question. The first thing they say is, oh, I'll leave that to my accountant. I don't do the figures. And you sort of look and think, well, if you've got no idea, you're the one spending the money, you're the one generating the invoices, and you've got no idea of what's going in and what's coming out. How are you going to handle on that growth, especially if you want massive growth and scalability?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm fabulous at the maths and the financials, because I'm not. And I've had to really push myself to be interested in them, I must say, because if anything, that is probably one of my weaknesses. But it is so crucial. I guess it helps. We have a business coach, so he explains everything, and we've had that guidance. But what I would say is you do definitely have to know what you're doing financially, or else everything around you will just crash and burn.
Yeah, I'm very similar to you. I hate the finances. I hate the accounts. I hate doing the reconciliations. All that. I've got a special name for my accounts, which I won't say here, but it's not a very nice one. It's quite derogatory. And I've tried my best. It's just something I always put off and don't want to do. And it's there, but it's got to be done. But I recognize if I don't do that, if I don't have a handle on it, things could spiral. And then how can you make decisions? Because if I want to buy something or invest in personal development, if I just go and buy it and I haven't looked at my financials, I'm going to get that massive dip. And that's where the cash flow challenges come in, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, you know, when you look at like your year-end figures with your accountant, you know, you look at them and you think, oh my goodness, do we spend all that on that? And I think as we've sort of, you mentioned earlier, we've had to recruit and we've took on more of the team. And when you look at the salaries, it's like, my goodness. But then obviously with your team, your culture, you can't do it without them. So hence that is why it is one of your biggest sort of incomes. But yeah, I mean, with everything at the moment with utilities, you look at the lighting and the electrics and you think, oh my goodness, but it does give you that big picture so that, you know, when you want to plan, and if we're looking to open a new funeral home, we've got an idea of, you know, what we're spending on things like the additional staffing or the utilities, you know, it all gives you that bigger picture.
Yeah. So what are the goals and aspirations going forward?
Okay, so we were very lucky back in December. We were able to attend a business boot camp. We were invited along to Vegas to work with the amazing Brad Sugars. And up until that point, we had a plan, but that has certainly been accelerated. So it is about more expansion. Something that we talked a lot about with Brad was acquisition. So that's another area we're starting to look at the moment. So yeah, we've got the plans in place as to what we would like to do, and we are sort of focused on that at the moment.
So I've got to ask you this, what motivates you? What drives you?
It's about the care. Gosh, I can feel myself getting emotional. You know, people deserve the very best at such a low time. And yeah, it's about the care and making sure that people's loved ones are laid to rest in the best possible way that they can be, and helping those people through that journey. You know, we meet such lovely families and they're absolutely amazing. And the dynamics of families, you know, it's not always the best, you know, and we have to be really careful. But, you know, as I say, the families that we deal with are just amazing and so inspiring, you know, when they've lost loved ones. So yeah, it's all about the care.
Yeah. And how do you switch off, Nichola? Because I mean, obviously you must see some very sad times as well as celebrations of life. But obviously when people come to you, they're not in a great place. So how do you switch off from that?
Okay, so I think I'm very lucky. I mean, a lot of people will say, oh my God, how do you work with your husband? But I think I'm very lucky because we are both in the industry. So yes, we do, you know, it's not a case of it's a 9 to 5 role. We get home and we say, that's it, we're not talking about it. So we do talk a lot at home and we reflect. But I think for us, it's very healthy. And, you know, I love reading. We do a lot of walking. I'm into my fitness at the moment. So there are put myself down and, you know, relax into other things. But, you know, first and foremost, the business does come first.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a hard challenge. I know we've spoken before about this, and it's business and it's switching off and doing things for you, and sometimes putting yourself first as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But we love what we do. To us, it's not a job. You know, we do live and breathe it, but we enjoy what we do because we're helping people.
And I can tell, you know, by talking to you, there's a passion within you. You can tell this is a heartfelt business. You know, you do a lot for the local community. You're very caring about your customers and you're caring about the service you live in. I think it's very hard for business owners if they don't feel that passion, if they don't feel that drive. It just becomes a job then, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe within the funeral industry, if you do feel it's just a job, then you're not in the right place. Certainly within our industry, you know, it is about caring, as I keep saying. And, you know, if you feel that you want a 9 to 5 job, then the funeral industry is not that. You know, a lot of the time we're having to stay late, we're having to get up early, we're on call 24/7, we work 365 days a year. So it has its challenges, but if you are the right person, then the funeral industry is for you.
Yeah. I always ask my guests, you know, what inspires you and motivates you. And you've talked about what motivates you about the business. What drives you personally?
I think for me, in my younger years, when I was in retail and recruitment, I was always striving to be the best, and I became part of the management in both those roles that I took on. When I had my children, things dipped a little bit, and I became a mom, which was great. But then it was returning back to work. I naturally wanted to be the best again. And I think what is driving me still today is the fact that I want to be the best person that I can be.
Mhm.
You know, and nothing, I won't rest for nothing less. And I'm always learning, you know, I read a lot of books, I attend a lot of networking, I love meeting people, business people, you know, so, and I've learned to surround myself with a lot of business people that are like-minded. So yeah, it's been about the best version of me that I can be.
I love that. And before we wrap up, I always ask my guests to leave the audience with a piece of advice or a top tip or something that they can think about. So what would be your piece of advice or a top tip for the audience?
Okay, I guess talking about surrounding yourself with like-minded people, because business is hard and it's lonely. And I think especially for women, it can be. So surrounding yourself with those people that motivate you, want you to develop, understand sometimes what you're going through
Yeah.
it's great. And I've learned to do that a lot more over the last couple of years. And I think that's really helped with my confidence and just helping me strive forward. So I would definitely say, you know, surround yourself with like-minded people. It does amazing things for you.
Totally agree with that. Absolutely, 100%. It's been lovely finding out a little bit more about you. We'll have to get Jason on and talk to him as well.
Absolutely, he would love it. Yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't be able to shut him up, mind.
I know he's very supportive of everything you're doing right now, and I know you've got some fantastic plans. So it'd be great to have you on again as the expansion happens and as you grow.
Yeah.
And you do those acquisitions, because that's a whole different ball game in business, isn't it? Acquisitions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great to chat to you again. So thank you, Nichola Threadgold from
Thank
Jason
you.
Threadgold, Funeral Director.
Been a pleasure. Thank you very much.